All right. Hello again, Avengers, and welcome. Another exciting daily vlog. It's Daily Vlog 2025, number 282. And today, I've been playing a lot of WoW, specifically Legion Remix, and I got some ideas that are not specifically WoW related. But first things first, you may have noticed this beautiful, beautiful thing right here. This is The Earth Witch's Guide to Magic and Murder, the newest book by Kiri. And you most definitely need to pick it up. It's amazing, the little bit that I've been able to read thus far, because my brain doesn't like me. It's really cool, really interesting. And Kiri has put just so much work and effort into this. And so, yeah, and she's a phenomenally skilled author. There will be links in the description down below, both Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and I picked those two specifically because they sell all three flavors of it. You can get the physical version that I have here. It's so pretty. Or you can, they have a digital version, like for Kindle or the Barnes & Noble Reader, whatever that. And then they also have an audiobook version, which is super, super cool. And Kiri actually does the footnotes in it, which is amazingly cool. So, yeah, pick it up. So, today's topic. As I mentioned before, I have been playing a lot of Legion Remix. I almost have my Demon Hunter up to max level, which is 80. I've worked my way through 2 of the 5 story areas of the main campaign, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. But it got me thinking. So, one of the things that I really like about World of Warcraft in general is that the classes themselves have such really awesome lore attached to them. Everything from like the base classes, like the first World of Warcraft character I ever created was a druid named Tarwin. The account with that character on it has was hacked years and years and years ago after I'd stopped playing. And I no longer have access to it. But I have a new account. And I have a druid named Tarwin on there in, recognition of that being my first character. But when you look at all the lore and stuff behind even just the druid, which is a class that has existed for decades, and technically an idea that has existed for centuries. Druids were a thing. They're not like the druids that we see in video games where they turn into animals. That's not really what... I mean, it's kind of inspired by some of the folklore around some druids, but it's not really. Yeah, druids have existed for a long time in our PGs, long before World of Warcraft came around. But when you look at how intrinsically druids are tied into the lore and how everything that they do has something related to lore about it, it's really cool. And just about every class is like that. The ones that I think are a little bit less kind of rooted in lore, things like the warrior and the rogue. I mean, they're a fighter and a rogue. They have lore, but like the class itself is not like super seeped in lore. And then when you start getting to some of the hero classes, that's when things start getting really interesting, like the Death Knight. The Death Knight is such an interesting class from a lore perspective, because literally what it is these people that were killed by the undead scourge and then were raised into unlife as Death Knights and worked for the Lich King until this pivotal battle where they were able to kind of break free from the Lich King's control. And then for the rest of the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, they kind of partner up with the Alliance and Horde to basically fight and kill the Lich King. And they were based on the Lich King himself. And so it's such an interesting class. Well, in World of Warcraft Legion, they introduced another hero class called the Demon Hunter. And it's the class that I've been playing, and I really, really enjoy it for a number of different reasons. One, it's a hypermobile class. Depending on the specialization that you choose, you either have like an aimed jump, if you're the tank version of it, where you just pick a spot within range and you like boom, and then big explosion is really cool. Or if you're the DPS spec, you have this just dash that you can activate whenever you want, and it's really, really fun. It's great for positioning and stuff like that. It's super, super fun. But the lore about them is even more interesting. Again, it's based on a character from World of Warcraft lore, specifically Warcraft 3 lore, which is Illidan Stormrage, who was a spellcaster, and then kind of made a pact with the devil, which eventually turned into this kind of half demon hybrid, and then he started kind of fighting against demon kind eventually. And so he created this entire group of people called the Illidari, whose sole purpose was to hunt down demons and kill them. And in order to be able to fight against demons, they actually have to kind of make a pact. And one of the things that they do is actually lose the use of their eyes. They lose their eyes completely, and it's replaced by these like little glowing fell dots. So they can still see, but they don't have physical eyes anymore. And it's a really interesting class, but it kind of brought me back to a discussion I can't remember. I think we've had on here before, but the idea of, because I think I made an entire video talking about like a Mage Slayer, but the idea of a class that is specifically designed around countering a particular type of monster. I mean, when we look at like classic rangers in D&D, now we're going to get into tabletop RPGs. When we look at rangers in like classical DVD D&D, they were kind of pitched as that, okay, well, you can kind of specialize in killing a particular creature, but that specialization really was just, oh, you do more damage to it, or it's easier for you to hit, or you might know more about it. But there's no real class features or anything that makes it feel like, well, yes, I am an undead hunter, and I have these special abilities that make me dangerous for undead. That's just never been a thing in like core D&D. Now, eventually, Matt Mercer did introduce the Blood Hunter class in, I think it's like 2015, somewhere around there, 2014, 2015, somewhere, maybe 2016, I can't remember, whenever the DM's Guild came out. So anyway, and that is, it actually has kind of a lot in common with the idea of a demon hunter from World of Warcraft, where it's a person who makes this kind of sacrifice. They become, more than human, or and they have to make this sacrifice that kind of taints them for the rest of their life, but it gives them kind of superhuman abilities to kill particular monsters, and that's what blood hunters are. They are kind of monsters, but again, you don't really get things specifically designed to counter a particular style of creature. I mean, the closest that we get to that is the Order of the Lycan, or the Order of the Ghost Hunter, where the Order of the Lycan isn't really designed to kill Lycans. It's, a club for Lycans that want to not be horrible. The Order of the Ghost Hunter, really, it just allows the base abilities of the Blood Hunter to be used on things that normally wouldn't. Things like ghosts or undead that don't have blood. Ghost hunters can still use their cool abilities on it. And so it got me to thinking, again, going back to the idea of a Mage Slayer style character, why don't we have those kind of hyper specialized classes? or even just subclasses in tabletop RPGs, because we do have that kind of specialization in real life. Maybe not so much, hunters, but we do have, like, most jobs, when you start getting to the high echelons, you specialize in a very specific style of that job. Whether you're looking at academia, where your bachelor's degree, even though, again, you will focus on something for your bachelor's degree, probably about 80 to 90% of your bachelor's degree is very, very similar to every other bachelor degree, with a few rare exceptions. And your bachelor's degree is basically just kind of there to show that you can follow through on something. When you get to your master's degree, you're starting to specialize in your particular focus. You're going to learn things that even people within the same kind of school, like if you're mastering in psychology, well, your flavor of psychology is going to be different from the rest of the, like, if you're psychopharmacy versus experimental psychology or things like that. You're going to start differentiating. And then when you get to the PhD level, your PhD makes you an expert on one really obscure thing. And so you hyperfixate on that thing. And that doesn't mean that you can't do other things, but on that particular subject, you are considered an absolute expert. So when we look at TTRPG classes, we generally don't tend to see that kind of specialization. And the few times that we do, a lot of people kind of mark it up to bad game design. And the reason being is, if you, again, let's take the idea of the Ranger back from 3rd edition. If you had a Ranger that kind of hyper-fixated on, let's say, aberrations, they really didn't like beholders and stuff like that. Well, in your campaign, if you're not going up against aberrations at all, then those bonuses are completely worthless. And if there were specific things, specific abilities that were designed specifically to fight aberrations, anytime you're not fighting aberrations, well, then your class is going to feel significantly less useful. You're going to have, entire levels worth of abilities that you just don't get to use because they require a very specific enemy. So I completely understand the idea behind not wanting to invest a lot of time into creating very, very specific either classes or subclasses that are designed to counter one kind of enemy. Again, a Mage Slayer style character comes to mind, because you can create those in D&D 2014. I can't remember if they still have the feats you need in 2016. Or not 2016, 2024. I don't know where 2016 came from. But in 2014, they had a Mage Slayer feat that you could take. That was really about it. And anything else, if you wanted to be kind of anti-magic, I think there was a couple subclasses that kind of leaned into that a little bit more. Things like the War Mage was very kind of anti-magic and stuff like that. But it was still kind of generic enough that if you weren't facing spellcasters, you wouldn't feel completely useless. And to be fair, the Mage Slayer feat really wasn't that useful, even if you were facing almost exclusively spell casters, because there was other things you could do that would give you similar, not as good effects, but would still work, and you wouldn't have to waste a feat for them. Again, I understand that they want these classes to have broad appeal and be able to, play in a bunch of different campaigns, but I really, really like the idea of a Demon Hunter. I love playing my Demon Hunter. It's massively fun, and I like the fact that everything about it is built around this idea of, no, I'm going to kill demons. Now, because World of Warcraft is an MMO, the Demon Hunter lore is really cool and really focused on killing demons. The Demon Hunter class is just cool. It's a Fel themed class that gets to do cool shit. And pretty soon it's going to be a Void themed class as well, because they're adding a Void themed flavor of it for Midnight. But it's just I like the idea of it. And again, from a tabletop RPG perspective, I could totally see running an entire campaign. I mean, look at something like Descent into Avernus. That whole adventure is designed around Elturel getting dragged into the first level of hell. And there's tons of demonic entities that you fight in. So having a demon hunter class would work really, really well there. And there's tons and tons and tons of ways that you can write an adventure, an entire campaign that doesn't feel forced or anything like that, but where you could have a character that is, kind of exclusively designed to counter a certain type of creature or counter a certain type of enemy, and it not feel weird. Like Tyranny of Dragons, there's lots of dragons in there. Or Curse of Strahd has lots of undead things. There's lots of not undead things too, but an undead hunter style character would work really, really well in a Curse of Strahd campaign. So yeah, like I said, it was just something that was kind of, it made me think, because I would love to create a demon hunter style character for like a D&D game or a not D&D game. Like maybe like I'm also getting real pumped about Fabula Ultima, especially the Demiplane Nexus. As soon as that becomes a thing, you better bet, because I think they mentioned they were hoping for like a December-ish release for that. You better bet if that stuff happens in December and it goes live in December, I will 100% be dedicating at least one of the days of Daily December to me just building nonsense Fabula Ultima characters on Demiplane. Like that. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you like the idea of a character that, I'm the best at what I do, but what I do is very specific? Where you kind of run the risk that the character could be put in a situation where a lot of their abilities are kind of useless. Or do you more prefer the idea of like the Blood Hunter where, yes, the Ghost Slayer is designed to kill ghosts and undead, but none of the abilities really require it to be a ghost of undead with a few very, very rare exceptions that were mostly knowledge-based. And they can be easily as badass fighting bears as they can fighting undead beholders. Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, again, it's going to be all from me today. I will see you guys next time. And again, please pick up Kiri's book. It's amazing. It's lovely. Links in the description. Otherwise, again, it's all for me. See you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.